Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another tutorial video. My name is Dexter. For those of you who are just running into my channel, I appreciate you. Thank you for checking out the content. For those of you who are coming from Twitter, thank you, and I appreciate all the support that you guys have and all your input. I know that I put up a poll. I know you guys want me to create more tutorials, so I'm going to be doing a lot more of these this year. Anyway, yeah, my name is Dexter. I run a web design and brand studio called Crafted Studios. And we are, what we specialize in is helping brands, who are ready to hit that next level. We help them prepare for new growth and build the platforms that they need to do that. And so, if you're interested in learning anything about us, the links are down below. Also, too, if you guys like content like this, where I, create tutorials and stuff for you guys, I also do a newsletter, and inside that newsletter, there's like, creative business tips, just kind of like sharing my experiences as I'm building out this company, and yeah, of course, updates on when I post tutorials. So um, go ahead and check those out. All the links are down in the video description below. And yeah, that's enough about me and my content. Today, what we're going to do is we're going to be building out this Figma design that you see right here in front of you. And before we get started, though, just a little cool, fun fact about this project is that this is where I got a little bit of my inspiration from. This is one of the sites that we built for our partners, Cohere City. Um, and yeah, this is, of course, you can see this is where I got the typography idea from. We oftentimes build a lot of, co-living and apartment space types websites. So I just figured I'd put my own spin on it, and that's why I came up with this idea. So the concept to this website is a landing page, a really quick one for an apartment that's based in Los Angeles, and it's around like UCLA and stuff like that. So just a quick concept. Just figured I'd practice. But really, the goal of this whole design is just to help you guys practice using grid, absolute positioning, and understand negative spacing and stuff like that, and really just to be more thoughtful and creative when it comes to creating layouts. Um, and so I guess this is like my take on that. And also too, another thing is that, when we build sites like that, guys, like, a lot of people might say that it's not rooted in UX design and stuff like that. Um, but we never have a problem with customers getting to, any of that different stuff. It's never a problem. You know what I'm saying? It's never really a problem for people to access all the information that we put on the page. I think you can still make design decisions that are really good, and are rooted in UX design with also having beautiful aesthetics. So you don't need to compromise on those things. That's just my opinion. But anyway, let's go ahead and get started with this. Let's build some shit. So I put together a style guide for you guys. I figured, I do this with real projects. I know I didn't do that in my last tutorial or two, so I figured I might as well just really start get into the habit of doing these for you guys as well. And so we have our color palette here, nice, interesting color palette. We have our typography, and this is something I want to show you real quick. So when it comes to the type, what I like to do is I like to translate the typography from pixels to EMs. I like to work with EMs a lot. It's just something I gotten used to. And so you can go to an EM converter. Excuse me. It's a pixel to EM converter. Oh, it's really right there. I should have clicked on that link instead. We haven't opened up this live site. Shout out to T-Rex for creating a great tool. But yeah, just pixel to EM converter. So let me show you guys how to use it real quick before we actually get started on this. Oh, so let me go to the Figma design. And so what you want to do, and sorry guys, if there's a crazy ass dog outside. I don't know. He's been barking for like literally the whole day. So yeah, so when you're using the pixel to EM converter, this is how I laid this out. So this is the font size and this is the line height. Right? So as you can see, font size is 140, line height is 120, right? And the same thing for everything else. Now, when you're converting this, you want to type in the font size, so 140-92. You want to go in here and paste this into your element size, and then you're going to get the size in EMs. Now, before you go any further, what you need to do is go and find your artboard width. Now, what is that? That's a great question. So what your artboard width is, this is essentially your artboard, or wherever platform you're building on. Your canvas is your artboard, right? So you're gonna want to go in here, not this viewport though, because you have, parameters, and you have a screen here that has a style guide and whatnot. So you're gonna want to go to the preview section. And my artboard width is 1440. Yours might be larger or smaller depending on what you're building on right now. You want to paste that into your artboard width. Then you're going to get the size in EMs. So as you can see, when we go to our style guide, that we indeed have our EM size. Now I went down just a little bit because on the laptop I wanted it to be just a little bit smaller compared to the design, but all the rest of them are accurate. So you go H2, type in 100, and you get 6.94. And so I went to go to H2, 6.94 EMs, right? So that's how you use that. Let me actually adjust this because this is actually light. There we go. Cool. Cool. So that's how you do that. Let me see. And the same thing goes for everything else. So, all the other, typography follows along with that. All right. So I already built out the style guide, as you guys can tell. So we're not gonna have to, worry about any of that shit. I don't really want you guys like watching me build all this stuff out. It kind of took a little while to make this kind of like neat and stuff. So don't worry about that. However you guys want to build this out, feel free. This is just the way I did it. Um, and then let's go ahead and actually build out some of our interactions. So let me remove myself so we can get a clear view of what we're working on. So the interaction that I'm thinking, let me show you this. So this is the interaction I'm thinking. So on hover, when you hover over it, it's going to go from this to this. Okay, let me get some water real quick. And this is going to be a quick micro interaction. I like to do quick micro interactions in Webflow before I even get to building. 1 second. All right, there we go. My apologies, guys. And so let's go ahead and get building this. So let me remove this and let's get to building this. So what the first thing we're going to do to achieve that interaction is we're going to build out our link block, right? So I have a class set up for this already, but you guys might not, and that's fine. Let me walk you through it. Okay. So I have a link wrapper, which is just a link block, right? I give it a class of link wrapper. I put I put padding of 5 all the way around. Give it an overflow of hidden, you'll see in a bit. Give it a position of relative, no Z index, and I removed the decoration so none of the text inside has an underline. Whoa, don't want to go to the dashboard now. Let's pump our brakes. The next thing I want to do is add a div block, and I'm gonna give this a class name of relative, and all that does is going to all I'm gonna do is set it from static to relative. And then I'm gonna give that relative position of a Z index of 2. Okay. The next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab our text block. I'm gonna give this a class of caption. And then I'm going to give this a combo class of text-neon, and that's just going to change our text color to neon. So let me go ahead and type in apply. All right, we're getting there. So far we have our caption, our relative div around the caption, and around the relative div we have our link wrapper. So inside of the link wrapper though, what we're going to do is we're going to add another div block. And with that div block, we're actually going to give it a class of link. We're going to give it a class of hover. Let's go hover dash grow. And all I did there was give that div a height of 1, give it position absolute, and put that absolute positioning to the bottom. That's all I did for this one. Okay. And so let me see here. Oh, and then lastly, what I want to do to get it to be neon, just in case, because I might use this hover grow interaction again, I'm going to give this a combo class of neon to then, set our color of that line to neon. So there we go. That's how it's set up. Let's click on the link wrapper and we're going to give this an interaction. So let me see. Let's go to element trigger and let's go over to mouse hover. So we go to start animation. Let's go ahead and delete these. So we're going to start animation. We're going to go to hover dash grow. Then we're going to give this a, actually we're going to, before we do that, we're going to go and click into our caption text, and we're going to give that a text color animation. And then we're going to go, and this is going to be our initial state. So this is just going to be neon. And then we're going to go into our navigator, click on that hover grow, and then we're going to go ahead and give that a size of, we're going to do 1 pixel of height. That's what it currently is right now. Remember, this is our initial state. So that is that. Oh, actually, I want the caption above. So give me 1 second. I want the caption above. Yep. Initial state and initial state. Cool. Right. So the next step, we're going to grab caption, click on the end, and then we're going to go over to text color. Give this a color of dark green or deep green is what I called it. Click on the hover grow line, and we're going to give that a size interaction of 100%. And the height, as you can see, excuse me, as you can see, it's growing. And then I'm going to click on the caption and the hover grow using shift. Then I'm going to go over to here, and let's give it a out expo for our easing. And let's see how this looks. Looking good so far. Awesome. And the reason why I gave the link wrapper overflow is because when you don't, it might leak over into the top of it. And so the link wrapper overflow hidden actually just kind of removes all that different, kind of crazy stuff that might come around just from the link block being, behind the text. So just from the line being behind the text, so just keep that in mind. And then I'm going to duplicate this class. I'm going to go over to start an animation on our hover out. And let's go ahead and rename our hover out to put a hover dash shrink or return. What we're going to do is we're going to remove our initial states because we don't need those. Then with our text color, we're just going to change this back to neon. And with our size, we're going to just change this back to 1 pixel. And let's try it out. It's looking good, but I actually want the line. I want the line to kind of go a little bit slower. So let's go 0.35. Then I'll do the same here real quick. 0. See how this looks? Yeah, I meant a little quicker. Not slower, quicker. Cool. That's great. And that's basically our interaction for that apply button. That's going to be over here. And so that's basically it. Actually, yeah, that's really the only one that might use that. I might do these down here the same, but as it stands right now, I just think I'm going to do it. I think I'm just going to use those. They're just going to do that for this. There's really no other crazy interaction that I really want to do that's, there's no simple micro, interaction that I want to do right now. I might do a line grow on scroll, but I'm not worried about that right now. Right? Cool. You know what? We might actually do, we'll think about interactions a little bit later. For now, let's just get to building. So let's go ahead and start. Actually, wait, before we start, let me build out the navigation bar. All right. Let me delete this because I built it out once already. But basically, we're just going to do a custom navigation bar. So all we're going to do to build that is we're going to go to div block, drop one in there. We're going to give it a class of nav bar. Nothing crazy, just a div. I just removed the padding. I set it to 0 EM because I wanted to take whatever size container is going to be in there. So I added a div block inside of there. Let's go ahead and add a class of container. So all the containers inside of these sections are width 95 and max width of 1400. Okay. And auto on margins left and right, so it pushes it to the center. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a link block. You've seen these um, in the native nav bars for Webflow. We're just going to add a class of brand for that link block, and inside of that link block, I'm just going to give it an image, and of course, our spaces logo. And that's it. Nothing crazy because we don't have any nav links, so we don't need to worry about any of that. The site is really, really short, so I really want people to just scroll through here without skipping all this stuff. I really want you to see all this content and all this, all the aesthetics that kind of go into it, and really, utilize it as like an artboard or an experience tool more than, like a research tool or anything like that that somebody might use in order to make a decision, and apply for something and have structured, content to where, you know, a lot of times, especially I've seen working with partners, especially when it comes to these apartment type sites, is that they also have a brand aspect and they have a functional aspect that helps push the business, right? And so on the artistic and brand side of things, this might be just here to display as like an art gallery piece. And then for, the actual function, like applying for it, the contracts, the fine details of what's inside of the apartment might actually exist on a whole another platform. And so that way they can keep their brand and operate without, having to sacrifice creativity, but then have another site that, serves the purpose of, of actual information. So that's what this is basically for. So there's no need to build a navigation. All right, so I think that is it. I don't want to do anything else crazily. I think, yeah, I think we're good here. Let me just go ahead and give this navbar a symbol. I already have a navbar there, but let's do new dash nav. Cool. And I might add some padding a little bit later, but for right now, I'm feeling this. Let me see. Let me actually give the container a class. Oh, and I did it already, of nav. And all it's going to do is it's going to push our width to 100%. And then I wanted a little bit of padding with inside of the container itself. And that's it. Okay, cool. That's that. Let's get to building. So to build this out, I like to think in grids and boxes and stuff like that, using the box method. And so, everything I try to picture boxes like this is a 2-column grid. This is also a 2-column grid. This is a 3-column grid. This isn't a grid, but it's a box, a flex box, horizontal. Inside of these, there's 3 wrappers. And these 3 wrappers, using percentages, I can probably push apart. And then using Flexbox, that'll actually allow me to take advantage of, its positioning either left or right. And I might push it to the right to give it a little bit of like flexibility in mobile, give it more of a creative layout in mobile. So that way, not everything is just over to the left and kind of standard. So we'll see how that works out. And then, yeah, the navigation bar is just a flex box. So let's go ahead and get started though on our hero section. So first things first, I want to throw in a section. And so give that a class name of section. So for our section, we're just going to do 5 paddings of 5 EM at the top, 5 EM at the bottom, and nothing else. And inside that section, I'm going to put a div. And I'm going to give that div a class of container that we just set up earlier for the navigation bar. So that's a width of 95, max width of 1400. And inside that container, I'm going to actually add in our grid. And I'm going to call this hero-grid. And then I'm going to edit the grid and get rid of the bottom column. And so there we have our grid. And inside of that grid, I'm actually just going to add a couple of wrappers. So let's call this hero dash image dash wrapper. And with the second wrapper, I'm just going to throw in there, I'm just going to call this wrapper, right? So inside the hero image wrapper, before I do anything, I want to actually target the hero grid. And let's give this a height of maybe like 600 or so, maybe even 650. Let's try 600 for now. Cool. And inside of this hero image wrapper, I'm actually going to give it a background image. center, cover. Let's choose our image and let's go ahead and throw in our couch. Cool. And then for the wrapper itself, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just throw in our navigation bar, our new nav. Underneath that, I'm going to put in a little bit of padding. So we're going to go vertical. I like to use divs for vertical spacing. So I'm going to do vertical dash space. And all I'm going to do with that is just give this a height of 2 EMs to start off with. And I'm going to give it a width of 100%. Basically, you don't even need a width. It's just there. But even if I remove width, it would mean nothing at all. I just like to see it full width just so I can just visibly see it instead of it just being a small line. And so with this vertical space, what I like to do on all my projects when I'm building is I like to create combo classes, and then we end up with a list of, multiple reusable spaces. So I'm not targeting the elements itself and putting padding underneath elements, put padding underneath headings and captions and paragraphs. I think that's just a lot. We don't really need to do all that stuff. So I use vertical space for all the paddings, no matter what size. Even if we only need 2 inches of space, only need 1 centimeter of space, I just use vertical spacing. So with that being said, I actually want to give this a combo class of maybe 4 EMs. Try out 4 for now. I might come back and do something a little different later. That's going to create some space for our heading. So let's throw in our header. And this is our H1. So let's go ahead and type in H1. And boom, we have our heading. So let me go ahead and grab the welcome to spaces. Copy that in there. And let's see how this looks. Cool. One thing I noticed though right away is that this needs a little bit more space. So let me see what this is. It's around 65, but I know in Webflow it might need to be a little larger, but let's see. That looks good. Cool. I'm actually really happy with that. So I noticed that the foot is a little bit cut off, so I'm actually going to give the grid a little bit larger of a size. Instead of 650, let's try out 630. See how this feels. Cool, I'm happy with that. It actually covers up majority of the space in here, which is good. So the next thing I want to do is come back to our section. And on this section, I'm going to give it a combo class of hero. And the reason why is because I actually just want to get rid of a little bit of padding at the top. Let's try 3 EMs. Cool. What this is going to do is just pretty much even out the spacing a little bit more between this gap and this gap. I really didn't want this to be longer than this. Wanted to create some even space just for aesthetics. Right? So now that our hero grid is built out, what I'm gonna do is I'm not gonna build out another section. Instead, what I'm gonna do is create some space to put another container. And that's gonna be for our second grid, this grid right here, our wide grid. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna add a div block, and then that div block is gonna be called, let's see, that div block is gonna be called vertical space. My bad, just had a brain fart right there. Vertical space. And inside that, no, not actually outside that space, what we're going to do is we're going to actually add a container. So we go back to section, add a div, give this a class of container, and then we're just going to throw in our vertical space. Cool. So now we have vertical space and a container. So underneath that vertical space, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add our grid. So let me add our grid. Cool. And let's give this a class of wide-grid. And let me remove the bottom. So now with this one, I notice we have a wide ass space right here. So I think with this, we should do 601 is going to be quite a bit. So let's try like 500. You know what? 600 might not be too far off. Let's do 500 for now. Let's do like 550 for now and see how that looks. So you guys already know what time it is. Let's go ahead and throw 2 wrappers in here. Wrapper, copy, paste, and let the other one paste over to the right side. So inside this wrapper, all I'm going to do is drop in a paragraph. Give this a class of our P2. And let's grab our text. And inside of this wrapper, let's go ahead and throw in our image. Cool. Let's find our first image. I think it's this one. Is it? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Woo! Ooh. All right, so let's go ahead and actually change this a little bit. So I want to make the image just a little bit smaller, and with that, I'm going to actually make this just a little smaller, maybe to 75 FR, 0.75 FR. Let's see how this looks. Whoa. Okay, there we go. Cool. I like that. That looks good. It's a little bit irritating to me that this text is actually spaced out the way it is, so I just wanted to push that in a little bit more. Cool. So now what I'm going to do is, now that I see that the wide grid needs a little bit more space in between it, let's go ahead and try 600. See how this looks? Cool. And to make that image a little smaller, I'm actually just going to push this back just one more. Okay, that's good. I like that. However, it's really irritating me that space is like that at the bottom. So I'm just going to keep tweaking this till we get this right. Might need to do it evenly spaced. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, that's fine. I mean, that image really isn't too crazy. Um, yeah, I mean, it really isn't too crazy. I actually kind of like the fact that it's a little bigger. I guess let's say personal preference, wherever you guys want. For now, I'm just going to leave that how it is. And we have our first section. All right, so OCD's kicking in. Let's make this smaller. And let's give this 650. Maybe Figma was right after all. Yeah, them boys were right. Them Figma boys. Okay, so let's go back in here. And we're done with that section. So let's go ahead and work on our green section here. And to do that, let's close this. So we're going to start off by adding another section. Go ahead and add a class of section. And inside of, well, before I do any of that fancy shit, let's actually give it a combo class of dark green. As you can see, I already have it laid out as bg-dark-green, background-dark-green, and then we're going to set that background to deep green, and that's it, nothing too crazy. And then inside of there, we're going to give it a div block. You guys know what time it is. Let's throw a container in there. All right. And then inside that container, we're going to add our grid. Let me go ahead and remove the bottom grid for now. I mean, the bottom row for now, and let's add another column. And so let me give this a class of 3-call-grid. So now we have our 3-column grid, and let's go ahead and throw in some wrappers. I'm just going to copy paste twice to give all these wrappers. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add in our image. So let's throw in a photo. There we go. Okay, there we go. I was like, wait, why is it so small? What's the first one? Oh, it's the other one. This one. All right. The second one. All right. For now, I'm just going to leave this right here. First, let me just go ahead and adjust this grid so we get it pretty much the right proportion. So with this, what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to, I think the spacing in between is totally fine, but I'm going to want to play around with the fractional the fractional numbers here to get this pretty much right and even. So let's go ahead and push this one out. There we go. I think that's might be all we need to do. Let's check this out. Okay, let me make this a little smaller. So let's come in and make this smaller. That might be it. That might have done it. Let's see. Yep. I think that looks good. Yep. Cool. And so with this wrapper though, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to give it a quick combo class of, let's see, what's the name? Let's just do padding as a combo class. Well, it has a lot of D's, padding. All right, so we get a combo class of padding because all I want to do is I want to add a little bit of padding. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's just try 30 for now, all the way around the board. And then let's throw in our, let me see, wait a minute. Let's not get ahead of ourselves now, damn it. Let's see what we got here. All right, so we have, it looks like we could do this via flex. What do you guys think? I don't know why I asked y'all that. Like this is like some Dora the Explorer shit. I don't know why, like, I don't know why I did that. Yeah, anyway, let me just go ahead and flex this out. Let's just try how this looks. Vertical, give this a top and bottom. Yeah, I don't want to do, I can't really see. Yeah, that's the one without the space between. That's the one I want. And first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw in our heading. Cool. And let's give this a class of H3. And I'm going to give this a combo class of text-white. Oops. H3. And then we give this a combo class of text-white. Cool. I'm going to set this to white. So let's go and grab our text. Wait, is that our heading 3? Let me see. Yep, it is. I don't know what the hell that is, but there we go. Let's check this out. Cool. I actually think I can probably lower that padding just a bit. Let me see. I don't know. It's actually spaced out pretty far. Yeah, maybe 20 might be best. Let's see. There we go. That's better. All right, so inside of our wrapper, we're gonna throw in. See, I'm thinking for mobile, right? And what's gonna happen on mobile is if I don't put a space between here, on mobile, what this text is gonna do is just sit right on top of this text because there's no space between it. And we have our spacing off, and I really don't want to give the text itself a space. So thinking with a little bit of foresight, what I'm gonna do is just give this a block, a div block. I'm gonna call this vertical dash space and I'm going to leave it at that size for now, and we'll see how that looks a little later. So let's go back to our wrapper and give that another damn wrapper. Damn, Dexter, you like working with wrappers, man. What's up with you and wrappers? I don't know, man. They're really good. And inside that wrapper, we're going to go and we're going to add a paragraph. There we go. Going to call that P2. Going to give that a combo class of text-white. Let's go ahead and shift that over to white. Let's grab our text. Grab our text. Hope y'all are following along, man. Hope y'all are enjoying this. Enjoying the vibes on this today's Saturday, whenever you're watching this though. Alright, so we have our text in there. The next thing I'm gonna do is inside of that wrapper, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna add our vertical space. Hopefully you guys can see what I'm doing here with through this whole build, right? Like it's about boxes, vertical spaces, not putting too many combo triple classes and stuff like that on the finer like details, like the headings and the images itself and the containers itself and I'm trying to do this in a way where it's scalable and pieces are reusable, and we're reusing a lot of pieces, right? We're reusing our wrappers a lot, we're reusing our vertical spaces a lot, and we're using with the use of combo class, we can choose, we have the freedom of going, I want things to look neon green, orange, white, black. So it really creates something that's more, I guess, scalable, especially when you're doing this on larger sites. You're going to thank yourself because you don't have to be tinkering around with a bunch of different like combo triple classes, quadruple classes. I've seen some projects that I'm like, whoa, this is a lot going on. So it helps in the long run. Anyway, though, let me get some water real quick. All right. So inside of our wrapper, we put our vertical space. And underneath our vertical space, let's go ahead and add remember our interaction. So I'm too damn lazy to rebuild it. So guess what? I don't have to. Let's go and copy that right off the style guide. And if you guys didn't do it when you were looking at the style guide, I don't know, Chief. Sorry about it. Just playing though. I'll describe how I did it one more time. So all we did is we put together a link wrapper, and that link wrapper is simply just a relative wrapper with overflow hidden. And then inside of that, we put our relative div block. Inside of that, we put our caption. And underneath the link, inside of the link wrapper, we put hover grow, and that hover grow is an absolute line of one z index of 1 set to the bottom. And I just gave it a combo class to set it to neon because I wasn't sure if I wanted to use that anywhere else yet. And this line has a height of 1 pixel, and that interaction works like this. Caption and hover grow have a initial state of what you see right here, pixel height of 1 and text color of neon, and that just simply changes to green. That thing grows to a height of 100%, and that's pretty much it. And on hover return, I just got rid of the initial states and reversed them back to normal, right? So that's how you set that up. Let's take a look at this so far. So far, we're looking good. It looks like I accidentally created a space in Figma, so let me delete that. Let's see. Cool, we're looking good so far. I do still think that this is a little bit too much space, and let me investigate why. Let's see. Let's see if we... No, I like that little bit of space right there. I'm just thinking about this. So let's try something. Okay, so that's what's causing it. So it's pushing it outward. Let me see what we can do. Yeah, I see. Actually, I like that. So let's go ahead and let's just reset that. And instead of 20, let's just turn it down a little bit. Let's go to 15. See what that looks like. Yeah, I think that's fine for now. You know what? With enough space, let's just go. We can actually just set this to probably like just a few, just so the text isn't directly hugging it. Let's just do 10 or something like that. Yeah, that's good. Let's just leave it like that because it does have a little bit of space in between it. So let's just leave it. I think that looks great though. It's up to you guys. It's your preference. You know, if you guys want to go ahead and adjust that anymore, feel free to do so. I might play around with it just a little bit more, but so far I'm kind of liking what I'm seeing. Yeah, let's just go ahead and let's see what we have here. If I do this, yeah, I'm looking at the paragraph, and I really don't like when paragraphs are like really spaced out like that. So let me see. And actually, let's set this to 12. So it's like, yeah, not feeling it. Let's just go back to normal. Click on the wrapper. Let's go back to... There we go. Cool. All right. So the next step for us to do now, I think, let's see what we got. We now want to add in our like apply today text. And what I'm going to do is on this wrapper, I really could do it with this one. Let's see. Do I want to do it with this one? I could do it with this one. Let me think. I might want to layer this a little bit later on in mobile. So let's just try it with this one. So let's give this wrapper a combo class of relative. And then it's already set to relative. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a div block inside of that wrapper. And we're just going to call this absolute wrapper. And I'm going to, of course, set that to absolute. And then I'm going to put this, I'm going to stick this over to the left right here and then to the bottom like this. Then inside that absolute wrapper, I'm going to give it a heading. And then let's give our class of, let's see, what is it? Let's give our class of, I think it's H2. Yep, of H2. And let's do a combo class of text-white. Let's change this to white. Grab our text. Cool. Now let's just play with a little bit of the positioning and see what we can do. No, yeah, let's stick to this. And what I'm going to do is I'm just simply going to push this over a little bit. Let's do -40. So just a little bit more. Maybe like 40. Let me do this real quick, actually. Let me change this to 1440 so I can get a realistic look at it. Okay. Let's bring this in a little bit. I want it right in the middle. And then let's actually bring this up a little too. Let's do 25%. A little bit more. Let's do 30. A tad more, 35. Cool. And I like that. There we go. So we're looking pretty good so far. Yeah, I like that a lot, actually. Now, one thing I did notice, I rushed ahead just a little bit and I forgot my lines. I got too damn excited to build out that damn grid. See, guys, this is that stuff. This is that stuff. Okay, so let's go ahead and build that out real quick, and that'll be really simple. So let's go back to our section. And now what we're gonna have to do is we actually have to, if you guys were smart and you built it out, if you guys were paying attention and you built it out, then salute to you. I just got too ahead of myself. So let's actually just start building this out. So let's go inside of our container and let's add a caption. So we're gonna go text block, give this a class of caption, and then we give that a combo class of text-neon that we built from earlier. And let's go ahead and throw this to the top of our container. Boom. And then underneath that, we're gonna give it a vertical space. So let's go div block, vertical space, right? And then on top of that, we're actually gonna do a line. So let's go ahead and add a div block and give this a line class, combo class of neon to give it the neon color. And let's go and throw that right underneath our vertical space. Cool. And then now, lastly, we're gonna add one more vertical space. So let's do one more div block, and let's do vertical space. And then we're gonna do large for this one, and large is just a 6 em of vertical space, so 6 em height, 6 em height. And let's go ahead and throw that underneath our line. And then let's go ahead and put, what did I put here? About. And that is that. So that is our section. Let me see. Yep. Looks like we're good to go. Let's continue to build. Yeah, let's continue to build. I might come back and play around with this grid just a little bit, but we're looking pretty good so far. Let me see if I just remove this padding and how it's gonna look. Oh, that's right, it's actually flexed. So we want to leave that padding. But we want to leave that combo class, but let me remove the padding. Yeah, still not feeling that paragraph at the bottom, how that looks. So we'll just leave it tight. Cool. Let's go on to our next section. And so our next section, same thing, right? The same process. So let's go ahead and add our section. Those dogs are crazy as hell outside. I don't know if you guys can hear them, but those guys are barking. Section. And then we're going to put a container inside of that section. Inside of that container, we're going to do our caption. So add our text. Give it a caption class. That's electric blue. So we're going to go text-electric to give it the color of electric. Let's go and grab our text, the complex. Then inside of that container, let's go ahead and add our vertical space. After that vertical space, we're just going to do a line. Not do a line. Come on, guys. Not that's not that type of line. We're going to add electric, and then we're going to go back into our container, and then we're going to do a vertical space, like a larger one. So let's go ahead and do another div block where we do vertical space. Then we're going to give this a combo class of large. That's 6 EMs of padding. So let's go back to our container, and now we can start to actually formulate our blocks for this. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to throw in a wrapper for our text. So let's do that. So another div, give this a wrapper class. Then I'm just going to throw in our text. Let's see what this is. It's 156. I think that's the same thing as our H1. It is not. I probably was whiling out. No, actually, no, it's correct. 140. And that is the same class as our heading. So let's go ahead and give that an H1 class. Cool. Let's go ahead and grab our text. Copy. Paste. I really don't know what in the world that is, but what I want to do is I want to go Shift, Return, just to bring the add symbol down, just for a little bit of evenness. Okay, so let's see. Inside that wrapper, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another div block for space once again. And let's go, let's see how much space is between this. I mean, it's a fairly large amount of space. Yeah, it's a fairly large amount of space. Let's do large for now and see how that looks a little later on. And then we're going to go back to our wrapper, and then we're going to throw in, here we go, another wrapper. This time, though, we're going to give this a class of horizontal-flex. So horizontal-flex, all that is if I set that box to a flex box, give it a direction of horizontal, give it a justify of left, and a line of stretch. And then inside of that, let's go ahead and set up our divs. So I'm just going to do a simple, like, let's do text dash wrapper this time instead of just regular wrapper, because we're gonna possibly flex these. Don't know just yet, but I don't want to give it a regular wrapper because I'm gonna add a little bit of percentage. Okay, so let's set up our first one though. So what we got? We have text, space, and then a paragraph. Cool. So let's throw in our caption. Give this a class of caption, and you guys know what to do after that. Electric, text dash electric. Let's go over here, copy that, and let's go ahead and paste shops and cafes right on in there. And then after that, let's go back into our text wrapper. We're going to throw in a div block, and we give this a vertical space, not quite as large as the Figma design. I probably was whiling out just a little bit, but I want it to be a little shorter. So let's do 3 EMs, and let's actually change that height to 3. All right. So back inside the text wrapper, let's go ahead and add a paragraph. I know it's looking a little crazy right now, but you'll see in just a second. Give that a class of our P2, and let's add that text. Right. So now I'm going to want to come back to our text wrapper, and let's give this a fixed width of maybe like 250 or something like that for now. Something like that. Let's see what 200 looks like. That's a little too much. Let's do 250 for now. Cool. So with that, let's give a little bit of space. So let's do 5% margins maybe to the left, to the right. See how this looks. All I'm going to do is copy and paste our text wrapper here that we just set up. Whoa, not that many, but there we go. Let's see how this looks. Cool. I actually think I can go a little bit lower on the width here. Something like that. Something like that. I think that looks good. Let's see. Cool. So let me go ahead and fill up the rest of this content. Just copying and pasting. Wait, I just kind of confused myself. Okay, education. Ah, yeah, that's what I meant to do. I meant to paste that right here. There we go. hate when my mind kind of goes somewhere else in like a very short amount of time. All right. And it looks like we're all good there. Yep. Cool. If you guys notice, I also actually changed the weight to this because I really didn't like how normal looked. I felt like that was a little heavy in contrast to the rest of the large headings and the captions and that stuff. So I just changed that from regular to light. I'll leave that adjustment in the style guide for you guys. All right. So that looks great. Pretty smooth. Let's keep building. I think that's it for this section. Let's finish off by by going to our footer class now. I mean our footer section now. Lastly, let's put in one more section. Let's give this a class of section, and let's give this a combo class of footer. And so let's go and add our background of brown or dune. I called it. Whoa, dune. And then let's throw in our container. Let's throw in a div block, give it a class of container. And then let's see what we got here. So it looks like we're working with the flex box here. Logo, and then yeah, email thing. So let's go ahead and do that right now. So let's throw in another one of those good old those dang old horizontal flexes there we got there. So let's throw in a horizontal flex, and then what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna create a combo class. Oh, look at that, beautiful! It's already there, spaced, and all that is, instead of justify left, I just actually want to do this to where the space is, kind of pushing over both of our elements to the left and the right. All right. So first off, I'm gonna throw in a link block. I'm just gonna call this brand. Same thing as the navigation bar, and inside of that, I want to throw in our image. And then what I'm going to do for this though is I'm going to give this a logo-footer class, because I might want to actually change the size of this a little later on. Okay, so let's throw in our image. Now let's go here, image, and then we're going to grab that. You see how that's a little bit larger than the other ones. So I'm just going to give this a quick percentage. Let's do 35%. Way too little. Let's see, 65. Cool. I think that's about it. Go back to our horizontal flex, and let's go ahead and add another div. And now this div, what I'm going to do with this is just going to call this wrapper. And then we're going to throw in our form for our email. So let's go ahead and throw in a form. Right. So we're going to play around with this just a little bit. I'm going to remove the name field, the text field for the name. I'm going to keep everything here though. Actually, I lied. Let's remove that email address as well. And then for the form, I'm just going to type in form. Then I'm going to flex that. A center class. I think there's a little bit of, yeah, at the bottom. Let's remove that. So now we have this even, which is great. The next thing I'm going to want to do with the form though is I'm going to want to actually wrap this inside of a div. So let's go over to the form block, add a div in there. And you see, let's see, let me go ahead and throw this right here. We're going to just throw the text field and the submit button in there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give this a horizontal flex class, where horizontally flexes and all that stuff is nice. And then with that, I'm going to do another combo class of what I want to do. I think I want to do relative. Again, relative. And then the reason why is because I want to make this submit button the place where we put the arrow. So to do this, I'm just going to do submit dash arrow. Oh, what did I just do? I think I did something crazy. Submit dash arrow. So let's go ahead and remove our background by giving it a transparent. And then the same thing with our text. I'm just going to remove this. I'm going to remove that, but also what I'm going to do is just give this another like transparent. The reason why is because that text I think is always going to be inside of there. Even though there's nothing in there right now, it's going to still kind of force a text. The text is going to find its way in there somehow, a text element. And so I just want to just completely just remove it transparent and nothing ever shows up. So the next thing I want to do is give this a, I believe I want to give this a width, but let's see how this plays out. Let's do a width of 6 viewport widths. And then inside of that, what I want to do is just make this background. Let's do cover, center, no tile, not fixed. And let's go ahead and enter our arrow. And then let's go ahead and do custom. Yeah, we're gonna do custom, just so it just completes. It just fills up the whole width of the container there. And for text field, let's actually just make this transparent. Cool. Let's go back to our form. And so at the very bottom of our form, we're just going to do a quick border. Oh no, that's wrong. My apologies. We're not going to do a border. But let's remove this text field again. Oh, there's a natural border there. I forgot about that. So what we're going to want to do is we're just going to want to go transparent for all the borders. Ah, man, I hate when this happens. All right, should have nothing there. Cool. So we're going to go and we're going to give this a border of bottom 1 sunrise, right? And then for the submit button, the arrow, we're just going to go ahead and give this an absolute. Let's go over to the right here, and then that's basically it. For our text field, for our overall form though, what we're going to want to do is going to give this a width of 250. And then let's go ahead and push this over to, oh, this was supposed to be like this. There we go. I really don't know why this is still so small. Oh, that's because I got to give this a width instead. My apologies. Let's remove that width on the form. That's not necessary. Cool. And that's basically it. And then for this, I'm just going to give this probably like a 15 or something like that. Because when I add in the placeholder text right now, see, enter your email, right? And let's go and style that real quick. Placeholder, make this orange. Give this a caption, yeah, roboto, there it is. Let's turn this up just a little. Let's do, yeah, I'm okay with pixels in this case. Let's see how this looks. So far, so good. We can play around with the padding just a little bit. Let's see. Let's come down here. And yeah, I mean, this is fine. I just want to move this submit button up just a little bit as well. Cool. 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 And I'm honestly pretty much happy with that. I mean, you know, I could make it wider, but sure, let's do it. Let's just do it. Let's do 350. Let's give this a little bit more padding. It's just about playing around with it at this point. I mean, honestly, I feel like I'm doing a little too much just for a tutorial. At this point, trying to get this pixel perfect, but we might as well go ahead and do that anyway, right? And that's it. That is it. Now I could push it over to the right a little bit more, but actually I like that, and I really don't want to. Um, ah, ah, sure. You guys convinced me. I heard one of you guys say, you know what? That doesn't look that good, Dexter. Why don't you just push that? Okay, I hear you. And boom, there we go. I'm actually not gonna put a privacy policy or none in here right now. I mean, that's really not necessary, to be honest. I mean, we really don't have any of those pages anyway. But there we go. There we go. There we go. That looks great. What do you guys think? Hopefully, you guys like that build. Pretty smooth. I mean, this is looking great. Now, let's make this responsive. This is the spooky part, right? I'm actually going to skip right over into phone just because I don't want to waste too much of you guys' time. So let's go ahead and do that. So for our hero grid, let's go ahead and make this a flex. We're going to do vertical. Then we're going to go ahead and flip that around. And then we're going to actually give this a height of auto, right? So let's give this a width, a height of, let's try 300. Cool. 320, even better. Let's see here. And I think on mobile, let's go ahead and do 2 or maybe even 1 of space. Let's see. 1.5 EMs of space up there. That looks great. That looks great. I think that's fine. The wrapper's fine. Yeah, I think that's fine. Don't need to do anything too crazy right there. I mean, really, we could just do this just to give it a little bit of more visual interest. But I really don't think that's all that necessary. Let's just leave it. All right, and so for this grid, let's go ahead and remove a lot of this damn spacing for number 1. And then number 2, I think I actually want to keep the grid, but what I want to do is give it another row. So let's go ahead and give it another row. Right, and then let me remove this whole thing real quick so we can see everything again. Cool. Let me set this a little bit to like this one, just so I can see a little more. Okay, so what I'm thinking is putting this image actually down here and leaving this text up here. So let's go into the wrapper and let's go ahead and grab our image, throw this in here. Cool. And then next, I think what I want to do, let me just actually do this. And then I think I want to grab this. Either we can throw this way, which I think looks okay, or we could just leave it like that, to be honest with you. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Let's see. Yeah, let's just leave it. Say something. Eh, how does that look? I mean, nah. What do you think we should do? Let's see. I mean, that's kind of cool. Yeah, it's kind of cool. It just adds a little bit to the gallery feel, which is nice. Let's actually create a little bit of separation though. Let's do 40. Let's go 60 here. This a little bit of white space never hurts. Actually, I kind of like that. I wasn't gonna do it that way, but that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Actually, with that space, let's go ahead and do. See how that looks. I like that too, actually. Let me see something. Let's close this gap a little bit more. Let's do 20. Not 90, 20. Because my thing is, I want that image to be a little bigger without having to. You can just actually do 0 here. I like that too. And I think I'm gonna leave that at that. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's it actually. Whatever you want, whatever your heart desires. This is just what I want to do real quick. So I'm just gonna leave it like that. That's what my heart desires. Okay. So for the next section though, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna make this. We're just gonna remove this one to the right. So let me go back into the grid and let's remove that one. And then I'm actually gonna grab this wrapper. Well, the wrapper, make that manual, and then stretch this over to the right. And that's really it. Let's see. Let's give this a little bit more padding at the top. So let's do like 30, maybe like 30 of padding. maybe even 40 to create a little bit more white space. And just give this a little bit more of a size of like 2.2 EMs. And then I think for this H2, we can do a little larger here as well. Let's do 3.2. Cool. And then for the spacing in between here, we can actually remove 16 and put 10. How this looks. I think that looks great. I might want to make this vertical space a little shorter. Yeah, I want to actually make it a little shorter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 1 EM of space instead. Cool. I like that. And then for apply today, just so it's consistent, let's actually move that over just a little bit. Kind of want the middle of the Y to line up with the image, something like that. I think that looks pretty cool. And there we go. Now, remember how I said I might want to make this go over into this photo here? I think I still want to do that. I think so. So let's go ahead and give this a try. Let's go wrapper relative, and let's go and give this a combo class. Oh, this already has relative on it. So in theory, all I'd have to do is just push this over. Oh, you see, since they're both called wrapper relative, then I won't be able to do that. So with this one, let's duplicate this class and let's go relative dash right. We're still doing relative, but let's see if we can layer this one on top. I'm just randomly trying this out. It might not even work. And it worked. Look at that. Let's see how this scales, though. That's my concern. Oh, it does. Because that's actually what I would want. We didn't do any of the other breakpoints, but yeah, that would technically scale if I would have set up the other breakpoint, which is fantastic. Cool. I just wanted to layer it a little bit. So let me go ahead and grab that wrapper again, and let's push it down a little bit. Cool. Yeah, just something cool, real quick. Give it a little bit more visual interest. That's pretty nice. So with this one, this is already pretty much lined up since we used a flex box, and this is already set to vertical on our mobile breakpoints. That's all it really is. It just flipped over to vertical. Now with that, I think I want to actually push these text wrappers over to the right. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna give this a combo class of is dash right. Then I'm gonna want to push these over here like that, right? And so with our text wrapper, let me just give this a percentage at the bottom of like 5% to push them away from each other. Let's do a little more, like 8. Cool. To push them away from each other. And that's pretty much that. Now let's go back into our text wrapper and let's try to like do like 200 of, yeah, something like that. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, just to make it look a little interesting, just so it's not just lined up to the left. I think that looks pretty good. I might actually make the sections a little shorter in just a second too, but we'll worry about that last. And lastly, with our horizontal flex being already set to vertical, the only thing I need to do here is just go and grab our logo footer and give this a percent of like maybe like let's do 10%. Way larger actually, 25. Or larger than that, 30. Whoa, just 30, nothing too crazy. And I mean basically that's it. Oh, I see right here that this is cut off. It's gonna widen up our width a little bit. But that's pretty much that. Now the rest of it is just me kind of playing around with this damn logo footer. Let's do 40. I want a little bit of white space in between. So let's try 50. That's it. And so like I mentioned about this section, let me just go ahead and go and target all of our sections. Oops. What I want to do is just go ahead and do 3. Basically all of them. 3, 3. Yeah. Yep. Yep. I really didn't want that much space in between all there. Let me see what's overflowing. Let me see if I can see what's overflowing. This text, no. Oh, okay. So it's this right here, and I believe that's just from our width. So we can bring this down to like something like that. And that's pretty much it. All right. So that is pretty much that, guys. Let me actually, I believe we set that to auto. We're just going to push it into one another like I expected. So that's a no-go. But the rest of it is set. Of course, we could also do percentage to make sure that's scalable. So let's go ahead and try that. Let's do 20. That actually might be like, mm, okay, 100. This is going to be ridiculous. Let's do 100%. Okay, it's not growing with it for some reason. That's strange. Let's just go ahead and leave it at 300. I really don't go too far down aside from right here, because people still have that phone. I mean, most people have the other phones as well, but I mean, the likelihood of you walking around with a Nintendo item as a phone, I mean that's pretty low. And these are all old iPhone models, so this is about as low as I'm gonna go anyhow. But nonetheless, I mean that's pretty much that. Right? Cool. And that's it, really. I mean, you know, we're pretty much done here. Now, what I could do also is I could go in with our container, and we could just do 100%. Um, no, actually, no. Let me see. What's housing this again? I feel like I gave something another width too. Hmm, that's what it is. So if I did, yeah, yep. So what we're gonna do, since we have a spaced class already for this, let me go ahead and duplicate this for this one. We're gonna do stretch. What I really want to do is just make this stretched out, and then give this logo footer like a 30%. You can even do 25. And then what I want to do is just go ahead and knock this down to like 30%. Cool. And then for our form, let's go ahead and justify that uh, to the center like that. And then boom, there we go. That's really what I wanted to do. Cool. All right, and now we can also stack this in between, right? Like we can also put this in the center and do stuff like that as well. So, um, oh, these guys are funny. These guys are just hilarious. So we can also do something like this. And basically, let me just go ahead and do, let's do 25% and then 25%. So we can force that to be pushed in the center. And that is it. Cool. Cool. A little bit of problem solving, little bit of creative thinking on how we can kind of like make some of these elements work, the layout makes sense, and then make it scalable. But we did it. We really did it. Um, Hopefully you guys like this build. In the next tutorial, that's going to be coming out in the same exact day. But in the next tutorial, I'm just going to show you how to, in part 2, I'm going to show you how to, implement some interactions. I might do some locomotive scroll, but we'll figure out what we're going to do. So let's check our time. Cool. We're just over an hour. Hopefully you guys like this build, and thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. Any feedback, any questions, I always love to answer those in the comments. And yeah, is there anything that you caught that you could have, like, done better? I could have done better when making this build. Just let me know, or maybe there's another way that you thought about some of these things that I was building out. Just let me know that as well. I build out a lot of websites. Sometimes I miss things still. So it is what it is. Once again, thank you guys, and I'll talk soon. Take care.